Preseason polls, I don't care about them.
Yes, you do.
I really
do.
Is there anything that is a shot in the dark more than a coaches poll, a preseason coaches poll? Here's the thing about coaches polls. They're mostly made up by GAs and support staffers, or they'll go to a guy like I don't know, your director of football operations, and be like, "Hey, you're going to do that this year," because the voters on the coaches poll, you have Major Applewhite of South Alabama, Tim Beck of Coastal Carolina. Who knew he was there now? Tim Beck, former Minnesota head coach.
Okay.
I think. Ryan Day. You think Ryan Day of Ohio State every week is diving into his coaches poll? Dan Lanning, Oregon coach Dan Lanning, is a voter on the coaches poll this year. Kenny Dillingham of Arizona State, Kalen DeBoer. I don't think any of these guys.
How dare you insinuate that these men would let their names be put on this and that they themselves would not do it?
No, I think that what happens is like their director of football ops hands it to him and says, "I got this for you," or a GA hands it to him and says, "Here's your coach's poll. Does it look okay?" And he's like, "I don't care." Yes, they have so many other things on their plate. I don't really think that they care. But the coaches poll is out, and the top 5 go as follows. Number 1, Georgia, taking up 46 first-place votes, the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's a lot of those.
Yeah. Ohio State is second with 7 first-place votes.
There's a pretty large distortion in first-place votes here.
I would say so.
There's no like, well, I think this. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
In favor of Georgia.
Then Oregon is third with no first-place votes.
I found that to be a little interesting.
Yeah. Texas is fourth. They got 1 first-place votes, and then Alabama rounds out the top 5. Also, 0 first-place votes. The only other team to get a first-place vote was Michigan.
Which, again, I found interesting.
Well, I think somebody just, like, that's one of the good old boys just saying, or is Sharon Moore on
yeah,
a voter on
is
this?
he a voter on this? Yeah.
I mean, that could be it right there. But that is your top 5. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, which seems to be the common top 5 that you've seen circulating around college football. We have seen, like, from writers and media outlets, you would have Ohio State has been number 1 in a lot of them that have come out. But these are the official polls. The Coaches Poll and the AP Top 25 are the 2 official polls until we get to the playoff rankings, college football playoff top 25, which doesn't come out until later in the season after the novel idea, after they actually see teams play college football this year.
I don't like that.
It's crazy, right?
I like throwing it against the wall and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because then it's fun to go back and look at it and go, hey, dummy.
Yeah. Yeah. But
That's
I think
the only purpose these things serve.
100%.
But again, why not? Because it's August what?
It's August 5th.
5th?
And it generates conversation around the
It's
sport.
something
And
to
that's
talk about. That's all it is.
It gives fans something to look forward to as the season is about to get underway.
Or be mad about.
If you look at how the rest of the top 25 sorted out, SEC with 9 teams, we're talking consolidation of power, 9 SEC teams in the top 25, 6 from the Big Ten. So if you're doing the math on that, 15 of the top 25 come from 2 conferences. The Big 12 has 5 teams, with their highest team being Utah at 13th, and ACC with 4 teams, with Florida State being the highest at 10th. The only, if you're doing math in your head there, that is 24 teams. The other team ranked, Notre Dame, in the top 25. But the top 10 consists of 4 SEC, 4 Big Ten, 1 ACC, and Notre Dame in the top 10.
There you go.
And Notre Dame may be falling because their starting left tackle just went down for the year with the torn pec.
Yeah, that's not great, Bob.
When you're trying to replace Joe Alt, who's the 5th overall pick by the Chargers, and you have to replace him before the season you've even played a game because he tore his pec, that's not good.
Tearing your pec just sounds
miserable.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've seen guys that tear their pec. Like Suk tore his pec not too long ago. But when you tear, I've seen guys that have torn their pec,
the full
bench pressing, and it just balls up in the middle, like it just like goes to the middle of your body. can't do anything.
No.
Man. And so
I've avoided
that
pretty much
sucks.
all of the upper body tears.
yeah, your lower body is a mess.
Yeah,
We know that.
Yeah, no, it's a mess from the hips down. But yeah, the whole idea of tearing your pec though, it's like good. Didn't Rashawn Slater, the Chargers, didn't he tear his pec? Isn't that what happened to him?
I think so.
It seems kind of weird. Like, and these guys aren't like tearing them like lifting.
Yeah.
It's you get torn pecs in practices.
It's when you get hit with a rushing D end and you've got one arm extended, or if you have an arm and it gets caught in between two other guys and then gets yanked back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get that
That
extension
lever,
out
yeah.
with strong human beings
Pushing against it.
Yeah. That's gnarly.
Ugh.
But that is your top 10 is dominated by the SEC and the Big Ten. This should be a surprise to nobody. Like nobody whatsoever.
No.
When you look at why the Big Ten and the SEC expanded the way they did, this was it. This is exactly like they wanted. They wanted to go out,
Control the basically the top 40 of college football, have it be their two conferences.
consolidation of power.
Yeah.
I think the pressing question that a lot of folks have, and I've seen this a lot already, Oregon at 3. Are the Oregon Ducks the third best team in college football? And a lot of people are wondering, what has Oregon done to get this moniker of the third best team in all of college football? You are looking at a program that replaces their quarterback, who was a first-round draft pick.
Mhm.
You are revamping your entire secondary, and you are replacing the best center in all of college football in Jackson Powers Johnson from a year ago. On top of that, your defensive line, 2 of your biggest factors on your defensive line from a year ago, they are also being replaced.
Is that a lot?
Yeah, seems like a lot. Why is Oregon seen as kind of this darling of college football?